this now, Chris. This is the question that I was going to ask you earlier, because we were talking about line juggling and the fact that it seems like something's missing. Where and this is a big point of contention with a bunch of Stars fans right now. And my question to you is, we have the trade deadline coming up here in about 2-3-ish weeks, maybe about a month or so. I can't remember the exact date. Who are we? Are we sellers? Are we buyers, or are we stand patters?
I mean, Neil is such a conservative GM that I don't think we're going to do anything. So if we're anywhere close to the playoffs, like we have been for the past, feels like 8 months, then I think we're gonna sit still and we're gonna try our chances at getting into the playoffs. But honestly, if the team keeps doing what it's doing now, even with the better record that we're getting, I hope that we sell. I mean, this team doesn't have the motivation for it. I just don't think this team is good enough to win a Stanley Cup, and there's no way that we can get better. I mean, our cap is at its max. We're selling all of our UFA. We have a lot of UFAs this upcoming season. I just don't see this team getting better, and it's not good enough to win a cup, in my opinion. So I hope we sell.
Well, let me ask you this then. If we're buyers, what kind? I'm not going to ask you for a specific player because that'd be kind of putting you on the spot right now. But if we were buyers and Neil was like, "No, screw this, we're going to make the playoffs, and I'm going to make sure we make the playoffs," what's the kind of player that you're looking for, and then what do you think the Stars would be willing to give up?
Well, we don't have any cap space, so we can't just buy. But I love the idea of a 1-for-1, like the Line A trade. I can't remember the other guy's name right now, but a 1-for-1 deal, superstar for another
Dubois.
Superstar. Yeah, Pierre-Luc Dubois. If we could just shake something up, change something, I think it would be great. But again, Nil is not the GM that'll do that. He is so conservative; it's just not going to happen. I just wish something like that would happen to change the Stars, because it feels like the same issues that we're talking about are the same ones that we were talking about when we started the podcast. It's crazy. Teams don't do that in the NHL unless you're the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I was about to say you might want to ask Steve Dangle about that and how he feels about that. But and here's my thought process on all of this when it comes to the trade deadline and all of this. You have to make a decision. There's no, in my opinion, I shouldn't have even said stand patters as it being an option. You're either a buyer or you're a seller, period. 100% hands down. And that you hope that it goes your way. If you're a buyer, you're going all in. And I mean, you're willing to trade first round draft picks to get the players that you need to make this team, get over the hump and to get into the playoffs. Or if you're a seller, you're willing to part with Klingberg and Pavelski and Radulov. And I mean, and especially those first two guys. Can you imagine the return that we could get for those two guys, even if they were just like deadline rentals for the teams that we trade them to? Yeah. I mean, Pavelski he's been absolutely amazing since the 2020 bubble playoffs, especially. Any team he goes to would love to have him, just based off the way he's been playing right now. And then Klingberg, a puck-moving defenseman who can, pitch in on the power play as well, who can get shots in from the point. And you have to make a decision. You have to make a decision. And if we stand pat, I'm going to be upset.
I agree with you 100%. That's what should happen. With Jim Nill, I don't think it's going to happen. And that brings up the question, like, okay, then is Jim Nill the guy? And it's really making me question, especially with the way the modern NHL is. It's all about changing. It's all about shaking stuff up, seeing what works. And that's not how Nill does things. He's slow and methodical, and he doesn't like making rash decisions. But that's not how the league works right now. I mean, teams are going from last place in their league to winning the Stanley Cup, winning the Cup with interim coaches. And that's just not how Nill works. So I'm not sure. I don't think it's time to ring the bell, but I think it's time to at least find out where the bell is on Nils' hot seat.
Yeah, and if we miss the playoffs, there will be a very big shakeup, in my opinion, and we will probably go into a very large retool. There will be a lot of players that are here now that will not be here in the offseason. And
Well,
and
if we miss the playoffs, we're not going to have enough tools to retool. We're going to lose a bunch of UFAs for nothing, and that's
and
why I agree with you that we need to either buy or sell, and we better not do nothing.
right. And I mean, you have to be, and I know Jim Nill loves his first round draft picks, and I know he loves, holding on to those draft picks, which I totally get. I totally understand it because you have no idea what those draft picks can turn into. But the fact of the matter is you're in a position right now where you kind of made a decision to just, go for it. Go for it now. Which is why I think you have to be willing to trade those first and second round draft picks. And he has not been willing to do that. And I really feel like you have to keep the roster that you have, and you have to be willing to part with those draft picks in order to get players that you can take to win now. Okay. And I mean, it has, and for me, if you're looking for somebody specific, you're looking for a first or second line scoring winger, or even a center, for crying out loud. I mean, somebody who can score other than the top three right now.
Lord
Hint,
knows we need more centers.
Sorry, Chris. Go ahead. Say it again.
Lord knows we need more centers. We don't have enough.
Yeah, that's also true. So, but